Well, from Mayfield to Fern Creek, Kentucky has been hard hit by tornadoes in the last year.
And if it seems like it's getting worse, you're right. And a recent study shows tornado activity has actually been increasing in our area for the past several decades. Meteorologist Daniel Johnson takes a look at the science behind this disturbing trend in forecasting our future.
Tornadoes leveled entire communities in western Kentucky in December and tore the roof off of a house in Fern Creek in April. May and June are considered the most active months when it comes to tornadoes in the United States. But this year, dozens of families across Kentucky learned tornadoes can strike anywhere and in any season. And there's strong evidence suggesting tornadoes are occurring more frequently and in certain specific areas.
In Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, and Illinois, really that kind of core area of the southern part of the Midwest and then the Mid-South, that's where the core of the increase has really been.
A 2018 study led by NIU meteorology professor Victor Gensini shows there's been an eastward trend in tornado frequency over the last several decades, meaning tornadoes are increasing in the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and Southeast. And tornadoes are actually decreasing in the region traditionally known as Tornado Alley.
Over the last 40 years, places like Oklahoma City and Dallas, Texas have gone down in the number of counts that they see every year in tornadoes, and they've been up in places like Louisville or Mayfield, Kentucky.
The study looked at tornado reports from 1979 to 2017, along with environmental conditions during those years. Researchers found both an increase in tornado reports and favorable environmental conditions, specifically in areas east of Tornado Alley.
It's not that, Oklahoma doesn't get any tornadoes or Texas doesn't get any tornadoes. Certainly they do, and they get them with high frequency, just not as high a frequency as perhaps they did in the 1980s or 1970s.
Chief Meteorologist Damon Lane at our sister station, KOCO in Oklahoma City, says he has noticed the change.
Certainly, you can see a bit of that decrease and conditions favorable for tornadoes out in western Oklahoma. But really the decrease that I think we're seeing out in western Oklahoma and even here in central Oklahoma as well is one that a statistician can be able to pick out because it's such a small number.
So is Tornado Alley shifting?
I more so look at it, and what I have observed out here in Oklahoma is more of an expansion of Tornado Alley, not so much a shift. The term Tornado Alley, I think, is expanding farther to the east, but it's definitely not shifting because we're still seeing them quite a bit here.
So what's causing this change in tornado activity, and is this the new normal? Dr. Gensini says he's noticed the change in Oklahoma's climate specifically, which is likely one reason for the slight decrease in tornado frequency there.
If you look at the sort of what we expect in the future to happen with our global climate models and our model simulations, it certainly says places like Texas and Oklahoma will continue their drying and warming trend, almost moving towards a more arid and desert-like climate.
So as the pattern dries out across portions of Tornado Alley, the more favorable environmental conditions will only shift to the east. And the already unstable, humid, and warm air across the Gulf of Mexico will only help increase the chances of severe weather, including potential tornadoes here in Kentucky and Indiana. As the climate continues to shift across the country, it's important to stay weather aware.
Make sure you have a tornado action plan. Make sure you know what to do during a tornado watch to get yourself prepared.
An action plan a Fern Creek family credits with saving their lives. Daniel Johnson, WLKY News.
Thank you, Daniel. And Dr. Gensini says he's continued to monitor tornado reports and environmental conditions across the country since his study was released in 2018. The data since then has only strengthened the conclusion that tornado activity is increasing across the Ohio Valley.
So a tornado warning has just been issued for your area, and the WUSA 9 weather app has just alerted you to that tornado warning in your neighborhood. So what do? What's the next step? Well, the first step is to take cover, go to your safe spot. So where's the safest place to go in your house? Well, when a tornado warning is issued, we always say go to an interior room. So what does that mean? Notice all the green rooms here we have highlighted in your house. It's usually an interior room. It's the inside of your house. There are a lot of walls between those rooms and the outside. You don't want to take cover in any of the red rooms that border the outside. You want to stay away from windows. Again, get as many walls between you and the outside. Of course, the basement is the safest place to go during a tornado warning. Stay there until the tornado warned storm passes. If you live in a mobile home, if you have time, get out and get to a sturdy structure. A lot of mobile home communities have designated shelter locations. If you're stuck in your car and there's no way to outrun that tornado and the tornado is coming right at you, you actually have to get out of your car, go into a ditch, cover your head. Being in a ditch will protect you from flying debris, and that's why a basement is the safest place too, because that will protect you. The best thing to remember during a tornado warning is to take cover. It's Hurricane Preparedness Week, and that's why Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport in D.C. hosted an event on Tuesday to help spread the word about tropical safety across the Mid-Atlantic.
We're able to teach school kids about what their families should be doing to prepare for hurricanes. We have a chance to meet with the local emergency managers to talk about the evacuation process and decisions they have to make, as well as meet folks from the public, again, to make sure people are prepared as hurricane season approaches. While hurricane preparedness occurs every year, this year we saw something special.
For the first time in history, several Hurricane Hunter aircraft like the one behind me landed here in D.C. to show off their wingspan and demonstrate how important they are to hurricane forecasting. These aircrafts play some of the biggest roles during hurricane season by flying into storm systems and gathering data.
All that data that we collect, such as temperature, dew point temperature, which converts into relative humidity. We've got surface pressure, wind direction, wind speed. All that data is very vital.
And all this data goes into forecast models that we use as local meteorologists to forecast specifically for the Delmarva Peninsula. Chris Strong with the National Weather Service in Washington, Baltimore, says community involvement is key for an event like this.
Having this in the city where so many people can have access to it versus some of the more far-flung areas, it just allows so many more people to be thinking about hurricanes.
The event was open to the public, and we found some students who took advantage of the learning opportunity.
Their target's about 4th through 6th graders. It's a great age group to work with. They're starting to get interested in science and stuff.
Right now we're learning about hurricanes and the little drop pods. We talked about the eye of the storm and how it's the safest part and different planes doing different jobs.
Some types of planes go in the hurricane, some chase after and see what the damage looks like.
The Hurricane Hunters continue their hurricane preparedness tour by heading to North Carolina and then Florida for the rest of the week. Daniel Johnson, 47 ABC. Hurricanes are a force of nature unlike any other. They can be as large as 600 miles wide, have winds anywhere from 74 to 200 miles per hour, and can last up to a week or longer. Hurricanes rotate counterclockwise around a central point called the eye of the storm. Hurricanes need warm ocean water, preferably warmer than 80 degrees Fahrenheit. The ocean provides the energy hurricanes need through the process of evaporation. They also need a light wind that blows in the same direction. This provides the ideal environment for strengthening. If the environmental winds are too strong, then the hurricane can be torn apart and unable to reach its full potential. The Saffir-Simpson scale is used to classify hurricanes. This is a wind scale rating from Category 1 to Category 5. The worst rated storm is a Category 5, where winds are sustained at 157 miles per hour or higher. The strongest hurricane ever recorded was Hurricane Patricia in the eastern Pacific in October 2015. Winds reached a shocking 215 miles per hour. Contrary to what some may believe, winds are not the most deadly part of a hurricane. Storm surge is the leading cause of death for tropical systems. As a hurricane strengthens and rotates around a single eye, water builds up underneath it, and that built-up water rushes on land and causes major flooding once the storm comes ashore. Delmarva is especially prone to hurricane damage due to its closeness to the shore and its surrounding waters. Some of the costliest and most deadly storms to impact Delmarva were Hurricane Hazel in 1954, Hurricane Agnes in 1972, Hurricane Isabel in 2003, and Hurricane Sandy in 2012, when 11 people lost their lives in Maryland. I recently spoke with a Delaware resident and local storm chaser who came face-to-face with Sandy back in 2012.
We had encountered some several feet of water trying to get into other places that had residents that were trapped in there, basically standing on top of their homes because they couldn't get out. There was homes that were with the the roofs being blown off, windows shattered out. It was a complete and utter mess.
A hurricane watch is issued when hurricane conditions are possible within 48 hours. A hurricane warning is issued when hurricane conditions are likely within 36 hours or less, and action should be taken immediately. When a watch or warning is issued, evacuation orders may soon follow. Heeding those orders is crucial in keeping your life safe. Marlene Dixon is an Ocean City resident and says she's been through a hurricane once before and has a plan if she's ever in the path of a storm again.
My son lives in Berlin, and he would come and get me and take me back to his house. I was actually living in Florida when Hurricane Camille came through, and to me that was the scariest storm I ever went through.
In the event of an approaching dangerous storm, some local schools and churches will open their doors as shelters for those seeking a safe place to ride out the storm. Preparation is probably one of the most important things before a hurricane hits. Be sure to determine your risk. Is your house in danger? Are you in a flood zone? Also, secure an insurance checkup. Call your insurance company and check to see if you're covered. Develop an evacuation plan with your family, and also assemble a disaster kit. Be sure to buy the proper supplies, including batteries, flashlights, food, and water. And lastly, strengthen your home. Bring in your lawn furniture and board up windows if necessary. It's important to determine your emergency plan before hurricane season starts, because you never know if this season will bring the next big one.
The dominant La Nina weather pattern of this past winter looks to continue as we head into the spring season. So what is La Nina? Well, it's the opposite of El Nino. La Nina occurs in the Pacific Ocean when sea surface temperatures along the equatorial Pacific are colder than normal. El Nino is when those water temperatures are warmer than normal. And that La Nina pattern can really have an impact on the weather pattern across the entire globe. So let's talk about it. During the spring season, we have a jet stream that's farther north than usual. That brings in some warmer, moist air from the south into our area. It also brings the weather pattern and the storm track farther north, where strong cold fronts push through, and that brings us a chance of more severe weather. So here is the setup this upcoming spring. Because of a La Nina pattern, that jet stream stays north, but the lingering cool air from the winter could still interact with some of this warm, moist air when strong cold fronts push through. It's not just warm and moist air, it's unstable air. And because of that, we're at a greater risk for tornadoes as well as we head through the spring season. We've already seen it this month here in the Ohio Valley, and we've seen it far south in portions of Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. It looks like that tornado threat will continue, unfortunately, into the spring season. Let's zoom in, show you a better idea at who's under that greater risk for tornadoes this season. Louisville, just in the increased risk for severe weather, including tornadoes, while areas west, Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, Missouri, and portions of even southwest Kentucky have the greatest risk at potential tornadoes this spring. So, because of this, be sure to stay tuned to WLKY and download our WLKY weather app to keep you informed of upcoming storms.